Welcome again to Practice Group International. My name is Mr. Hearn and I am your TOEFL tutor. In this video, I'd like to talk about a common problem that many of my students have with the speaking section. And that problem is stage fright. You know what I mean? I'm talking about the fact that you may be able to speak English casually. You may be able to speak English very well. However, when the recording starts, you go, right? We just can't say anything. We start to get embarrassed. And that's a fear of being ridiculed. It's a fear that we're not going to do something right or we may make a mistake. So how do we overcome this? Because it is a very real fear. So there are methods you can use to help you get over this, and you can get over it quickly so that you can get a high score on your TOEFL speaking section and never have to take the stupid test again. Wouldn't that be nice? Let's get into the methods that we use to overcome stage fright when speaking. As usual, we're going to be using a question from the official TOEFL IBT test volume 2 3rd edition by ETS. Remember, when practicing for your TOEFL IBT, always use only official ETS TOEFL practice tests. Now, this is a very common speaking question number 1 on your TOEFL speaking section. When you start this section, the narrator is going to start introducing the section, and then the narrator will begin to read the question. How many times have you tried to practice or taken this test and not had enough time to prepare for answering the question? One of the problems we have with anxiety is that we're not ready to answer when we hear that beep. So what do? How do we get more time to prepare? One of the things you can do is realize that a lot of this question doesn't necessarily need to be read. And you don't have to wait for the narrator to finish reading the question to start taking notes. In other words, as soon as you understand the question, you can start taking notes, which will give you another little bit of time to prepare. So let's take a look at this question and break it down. What about this question do we need to pay attention to? You may notice that there are 4 basic parts to this question. It's asking when looking for information for a research project. Then the choices are, some students prefer to get their information from the internet. Others prefer to use mainly printed materials, such as books or academic journals. So what is this? We're looking for the choice, and that is prefer. And your choice is information from the internet or printed materials, such as books and academic journals. So now you know that your choice is to get information from the internet or use printed materials such as books and academic journals. Notice that at the end of this question, it asks, which do you prefer and why? Look at this key word, prefer. Some of the other questions will end using the word agree, such as this question. You'll notice that it ends with the question, which view do you agree with? And explain why. Which do you agree with? Why is this little thing important? Well, it really matters when you're responding. If it asks you what you agree with, say which one you agree with. If it asks you which one you prefer, state which one you prefer. It's a little thing, but it makes a big difference. The thing. Let's take a look at how we could respond to this question using our notes. What is the first thing you notice about these notes? That's right, the smiley face at the top of the notes. It is scientifically proven that looking at a smiley face helps to relieve anxiety. So I strongly suggest that even though it may seem a little silly, put that smiley face at the top of your notes because it helps to relieve anxiety and to relieve stage fright. You see, when you're talking to your friend, the smiley face, it's much easier than to talk to the blank screen on the computer. In fact, when you're giving your response, talk to the smiley face rather than look at the screen. You're going to practice making sure that you can give your response in 45 seconds, so there's no reason to look at the screen to see how much time you have left. Let me take a moment to talk about this. Looking at your smiley face, it really helps. Okay, so you're talking to your friend and just letting your friend know the answer to the question that you've been asked. One thing that happens when people are giving their response is that they look at their paper, they see their notes, and they're worried about how much time they have left, and they look up and they say, and then they go back to talking using their notes. But looking up and giving that extra word, has just cost you a point. So keep your eye on the smiley face and just read the information in your notes. Let's take a look at the content of these notes and see how is this going to help me to overcome stage fright. The question is actually two parts. It's asking you to make a choice, and it's asking you to support that choice with reasons and details. So if we look at our notes, I put our choice here as the internet. So we're going to make our sentence using that one word. Also, we have to give supporting information of reasons and related details. You'll see that my first reason is convenience. Notice that I don't have full sentences here. I just have a couple of words or a few words. So my reason is convenience, and my detail is phone, tablet, anywhere. Then my second reason is many more resources. And the detail is PDFs of books and academic journals. But how is this going to help me to overcome stage fright? Overcoming stage fright is breaking down something complicated into something simple and working it one piece at a time. We're often worried about making mistakes, and maybe making that whole response is just too difficult. But maybe you could answer with one sentence. Maybe you could just give one sentence, and that's good. And if you can do one sentence, you can do another sentence. If you can get those two sentences out, the third sentence is much easier. And once you get to that third sentence, the fourth and fifth sentence just roll right out of your mouth and you're done. You just close your lips, breathe a sigh of relief, and say, whew, that was easy, and then move on. Let's see what a high-level response using these notes looks like. When doing research for a project, I prefer to use the internet to get information. The main reason I use the internet to get information is for convenience. I mean, I'm always carrying my tablet or phone, so I can use Google wherever I happen to be standing rather than going to the library. Moreover, the internet is virtually unlimited when it comes to getting information. Any search brings up millions of results. Besides, I can also get PDF files of any books or academic journals on the internet. Now this response, as I've spoken it, is around 35 or 36 seconds long. And you say, but mister, I have to speak for 45 seconds. No, you don't. That's the maximum that you're going to speak. You want to speak for 30 to 45 seconds. What you really want to do is follow the rubric. You see, it's the rubric that we're answering, not necessarily just the question. You have to speak to the rubric. So if we speak to the rubric, we get a high score. Understand? All we're doing is satisfying the rules that ETS sets out for answering a question. And it's this way for all 4 questions, not just question number 1. They're broken into pieces, and you want to use those pieces to answer the question. For example, our first sentence answered the question of what our choice is, and it uses the words that they were given in the choice. Our second sentence satisfies the requirement of ETS to tell me why I choose the internet. And then the third sentence gives me my detail. And ETS wants reasons for why you prefer one over the other. So I want at least 2 reasons. It doesn't have to be 3 or 4 or 5. 2 will do. You got it? 2 will do. So you want to have 2 reasons and follow up with details. So how does this help us overcome stage fright? Well, it isn't easy to come up with all of this information and say it all at one time, but we can say one sentence. And then we can say one more sentence. I want you to practice having the confidence to just saying one sentence. Think of the general and work toward the specific. What is your general purpose? My general purpose is to state what my preference is. So I make a sentence that says my preference, and then I breathe. And why do I believe that? Looking at my notes and talking to my friend, the smiley face, I can say a sentence using the words that I've taken for notes. And then I can take a breath. And then I can say another sentence that is using the words I have on my notes. We're not going to say everything all at one time. Just work at one sentence at a time. It's that way in real life too. When you have something that's complicated and you're afraid of making mistakes, break it into small pieces and work it one piece at a time. Let's take a look at this response and I'll show you how it's broken down. Again, looking at our question, what's it asking us about? Information for a research project. Prefer information from the internet or printed materials, such as books and academic journals. I'm going to use the words that they gave me. There's no reason to make anything up. I can just use the words they gave me, such as in this response. When doing research for a project, I prefer to use the internet to get information. Notice that I did not restate the question verbatim or word for word. I've used the same words that they've given me, but I've put them in a little bit different order just to make a sentence. And my first intent is to answer the question. When the graders are listening for your response, they're listening to see, did you answer the question, yes or no? And now they want to know, did you answer the question completely? And that means that you must give supporting information, that is, reasons and details. So did I give reasons and details? So after giving my preference, I have to have a reason. So I have a single sentence that says the main reason. By stating these words, I'm letting the grader know that I'm giving my reason. And so they can say, yes, you gave your reason. The main reason I use the internet to get information is for convenience. And now I want to have supporting information. And if it's a complex sentence, even better. Look at what I've said. I mean, I'm always carrying my tablet or phone, so I can use Google wherever I happen to be standing rather than going to the library. Now, is this really difficult to think about? I mean, how often do you carry your tablet or phone, and how often do you look things up on your phone using Google or some other search engine? So it's easy to think I'm always carrying my tablet or phone. And then I join this together with a comma conjunction, comma so. I can use Google wherever I happen to be standing. That's something that we can just think about what we're doing, visualize in our mind what we're doing. We're standing here looking up something on our search engine, in this case, Google. And what is so convenient about that? I can do it wherever I happen to be standing. Rather than having to go to the library, I don't go on to say to look at books, printed materials. It's not necessary to say those things. Now, I have to give a second reason. So in my mind, I think, okay, what's my second reason? Well, I'm looking at my notes and my second reason is right there. It's that the information is unlimited. And so I can say moreover. I could also say also. I could also say furthermore. The connection word that we use is not as important as the fact that we use it, because the rubric demands that we use connection words and phrases to connect our ideas. And so I begin my second response with a connection word. And I say the internet is virtually unlimited when it comes to getting information, which we all know that's true. So it's easy to think about that. Also, I continue on to say any search brings up millions of results. Pick up your phone right now, do a search, see how many millions of results you get. Finally, I have my connection word besides. I can also get PDF files of any books or academic journals on the internet. Now, this creates a very high level response because I'm using more of the information from the question. As you recall, my second choice was to use printed materials such as books and academic journals. Yes, I have used that information. However, did you notice that there is no confusion? There's no way the grader can think that I prefer to use these books, because I finish off by saying that I can get them as PDF files on the internet. The last word I use is my preference. Okay, so I've packed a lot of information into this little video to help you to create a high-level response for one of the most difficult questions in the speaking section. You see the other three questions? They give you the information. All you have to do is repeat what you've heard in the order that you heard it. Question number one is the hardest one because you actually have to have an idea of what you're going to respond. You have to come up with this information on your own. So this little video helps you to do just that, to create notes using the structure that you're going to respond by. And how is this going to help you overcome stage fright? Well, one of the main things that causes stage fright is a fear of not knowing what to say, or saying the wrong thing, or not saying the right thing in the right way. By breaking it into small pieces and only saying one little piece at a time, we can be certain that we have control over that one sentence. I may not have control over everything, but this one sentence, and looking at my notes, I can just think about my sentence and say it. And without looking at the computer. And believe me, if you look at the computer, you're going to make mistakes. So don't. Look at your smiley face. Look at that smiley face that I told you about. Write your smiley face, talk to your smiley face, one response at a time. Break it into small pieces, work it one piece at a time, and it will work for you as it has for thousands of my students. Speaking of students, if you would like to take classes, please contact me. I'm always happy to hear from my students that are watching these videos and those who would like to have classes. Just check the description below for the email where you can contact me. Hope to hear from you. If you don't contact me for classes, at least please put comments below and tell me how you're doing. That's it for now. Remember, if this video helps you, please subscribe, like, share, ring the bell. You know what to do. I'll see you in the next video.